Good evening. We would like to call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Natrona County Planning and Zoning Commission to order this evening or afternoon here at 5:30 p.m. Introductions. My name is Hal Hutchinson. I'm the chair. Two over from me is Jason Gutierrez. He's the vice chair. Immediately to my right is Robert Grant, P&Z member. To my immediate left is Chad Zeal, P&Z member, and to my far left is Matt Mitchell, P&Z member. Introduce staff. Christy Turner is the county planner, and Charmaine Reed is the deputy county attorney. Is that everyone? All right. So I would like to inform everyone that this commission is an advisory board for the Natrona County Commissioners. Our decisions are subject to approval, conditional approval, denial, or modification by the Board of County Commissioners. For each application on the agenda, we will hold an official public hearing. The hearings are recorded and there will be written minutes of the meeting. After this commission holds a public hearing, unless an application is tabled or withdrawn, the Board of County Commissioners will hold another public hearing for the application. Tonight, everyone will have an opportunity to address the commission. First, those in favor of the application may address the commission. Then, those opposed to the application may address the commission. Finally, the applicant may give a brief rebuttal. When the chair recognizes you, please come to the podium and clearly state your name and address before giving your comments. You should know that this is not a forum for public outcry or speaking from the audience. You must be recognized by the chair before addressing the commission. If a person's conduct is out of order, the chair may give the person a warning. If the person continues the conduct is extremely out of order, the person may be directed to leave immediately. So, with that, would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I guess the first thing coming up business-wise is consideration of the minutes, the first being from July 13th, 2022, and the other from October 11th, 2022. Chair would entertain a motion for consideration of each, one at a time, please.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes from July 13th, 2022.
I'll second the motion.
Jason.
Mr. Chairman, I got a quick question. I was absent at that meeting, so what would be proper procedure there for, would I not vote?
Charmaine, please.
I think that would be best.
I'm going to excuse myself from voting then, if that's
Okay.
permissible.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we have minutes from July 13th approved as presented. Next for October 11th.
I just have one question there. I think there were changes made to the minutes because I had the paper copy.
Mr. Chairman, the new copy is on the desk provided at your stations. There were 3 edits made to the minutes. The first being the inclusion of 2 inches as the grass determination, as well as adding irrigation to that line. The second edit is removing inoperable from the nuisance section.
Okay. Did you say there were 2 or 3 changes?
Those were the 3 changes, 2
Oh,
inches,
okay.
irrigation, and removing inoperable.
Okay. That was from earlier today, correct? Okay. All right, Chair would entertain a motion for consideration of the minutes. All right, did you moved already though, didn't you?
No, we just had a question.
Oh, okay. Chair would entertain a motion then.
I move that we approve the minutes from October 11th.
Okay.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The minutes for October 11th are approved as adjusted earlier today. All right, so our nitty-gritty of the meeting today, there's 3 items to consider. First being conditional use permit 22-5, request by Natrona County Road and Bridge for an aggregate extraction pit. Christie, would you have a report for us, please?
Just have to be patient. So the first up is CUP 22-5. The applicants are the Natrona County Road and Bridge. The applicant is proposing to use this parcel as a gravel mine for aggregate to maintain county roads on County Road 21, Gas Hill, and County Road 201, Poison Spider Road areas. The property is located on Gas Hill Road, about 45 miles west of Casper, on Highway 26, a little bit past Hell's Half Acre, about 3.3 miles southwest on Gas Hill Road, just northeast of Dry Creek Road. The zoning in that area is RAM. The minimum lot size is 35 acres. The property is currently undeveloped. All properties surrounding the subject parcel are also zoned RAM. Water source is a proposed water well, and there's no plan for sewer at this point. The planning considerations and criteria for approval come from Chapter 6, Section 2D of the zoning regulations. Will granting the conditional use permit contribute to an overburdening of the county services? There will be an initial use of heavy equipment by a contractor at the gravel pit site. Granting the conditional use permit will not otherwise contribute to an overburdening of county services because the aggregate extraction phase will not require direct county services. Granting the conditional use permit will not cause undue traffic, parking, population density, or environmental problems. Although occasional truck traffic performing maintenance in the Gas Hill Road and Poison Spider service area may occur, granting the conditional use permit will not cause undue traffic, parking, or population density or environmental problems. Because the proposed aggregate extraction is not occurring in a densely populated area. Environmental problems are unlikely because of the limited scope. It's a 10-acre extraction site of the proposed land. The next item is if the conditional use permit will impair the use of adjacent property or alter the character of the neighborhood, and the proposed aggregate extraction use will not impair the use of the adjacent property or alter the neighborhood character. Road maintenance in the Gas Hill Road and Poison Spider Road service areas should positively contribute to the neighborhood character through improved access and private tracks in the area and increased safety of the roads in the area. Will the conditional use permit detrimentally affect the public health, safety, and welfare? The requested land use on 35-acre extraction site is not a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare. The aggregate extraction use does not nullify the intent of the land use plan or the zoning resolution, which provide for aggregate extraction as a conditional use. The zoning resolution of Natrona County, Wyoming provides that aggregate development is an important and necessary industry in and for Natrona County. Sand, gravel, and limestone are used in roads, concrete projects, and buildings throughout the county. The development of new sources and the maximum utilization of existing deposits should be encouraged. As of the date of this report, there have been no written comments received. Staff sent out 11 notices to neighbors. The Planning and Zoning Commission may approve the request for the conditional use permit after consideration of public testimony and the facts of the case as presented during the public hearing. If all the regulations and standards of the 20,000 zoning resolution are satisfied, and after any consideration or relevant factors, and upon finding the request is in keeping with those 4 required findings listed in Chapter 6, Section 2D of the 2000 zoning resolution of Natrona County.
Any questions for staff? Okay, thank you, Christie. Before we go into the public hearing, would the applicant like to give us what information Road and Bridge has?
Good evening, Commissioners. Chairman Mike Hagler, Natrona County Road and Bridge Superintendent, 538 Southwest Wyoming Boulevard. I'm here to answer any questions you may have regarding this application as well as the mining itself. We're obviously in favor of that.
Jason?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Hagler, how long will you be able to utilize this source? Is it a short-term deal or a long-term?
Well,
source?
we have an agreement which I think is in your packet, and that runs to a termination point. We anticipate probably being out of there within the next 2 years if we get everything pulled together.
Thank you.
Anything you can do to make that road better would be good, because I slid off it when I went.
So, Mike, I noticed there's a water well associated with this. Is that being applied for through state engineer's office by?
Yes, yes.
By Road and Bridge or by the property owner?
No, it's by Road and Bridge.
And so that's just going to be a temporary? what they're
Well, it's
drilling out?
actually located on another property upstream, which we intend on developing it and then having it as future use for water as well as stock water. So, and we haven't drilled it yet, so we don't even know if we're going to have water.
So it'll be in the name of Natrona
But
County
it's-
Road and Bridge?
Actually, it's actually going to be on Mr. Henry's property, so it'll probably be in his name, but we haven't drilled it yet, so.
Okay.
All this property adjoins,
Okay.
however, the mine's on a different property.
Okay. All right, anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
You might just stand there, Mike.
What's that?
I suppose you're going to want to be in favor, so you might
Yes.
just stand there.
Okay. I'm in favor.
All right. I'm going to open a public hearing for consideration of conditional use permit 22-5. And that's, as we've been talking, application by Natrona County Road and Bridge for an aggregate extraction pit out west of town. So anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application, please come forward. I guess we already heard from Mr. Hagler. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in favor? Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the application, please come forward. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, call an end to the public hearing. Gentlemen, any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I think aggregate extraction, to quote the 2000 zoning resolution, is an important and necessary industry for Natrona County. Sand, gravel, and limestone are used in roads, concrete products, buildings throughout the county. Development of new sources and maximizing utilization of existing deposits should be encouraged. I couldn't agree with that more. We need gravel on those roads to maintain those roads. We all use those roads. I guess it would have been a question for staff, but in the new zoning resolution, I mean, Mr. Hagler's got to have to go through Wyoming DEQ to get permits. It would be nice if we streamlined this in the future where we didn't have a conditional use permit for gravel extraction, given that the state of Wyoming regulates it so heavily also. But those would be my comments.
Thank you. Any other comments? Chair would entertain a motion for consideration of the application.
I would move approval of this. I was going to quote, staff here has a, okay, let's see here. I was wanting to follow the spoon-fed line here. It's a little different than the past, so I'm trying to adapt here. I would move approval considering all relevant facts, including but not limited to those set forth in the 2000 zoning resolution of Natrona County, and find that the conditional use permit meets the 4 findings required by the zoning resolution. On the basis, I move to approve CUP 22-5 with a due pass recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, call for the question. All those in favor of the application signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. All right. Next item on the agenda is consideration of another conditional use permit. This one is CUP 22-4, a request by J.W. and Barbara Jones for a conditional use permit to allow use of the barn for commercial, recreational, in suburban residential SR1 zoning district. So may we have a staff report, please, Christie?
For case number CUP 22-4, the applicant is proposing to build and use a very large 6,000 square foot barn as a unique venue for wedding and other similar events. The property is 2.1 miles west off of Highway 26 on Zero Road. Between North Buck Creek Road and on the east and 7 Mile Road on the west. It is zoned SR1. The minimum lot size there is 2 acres. The property is currently the residence of J.W. and Barbara Jones. Adjacent land use to the north, Vista West number 2, is SR2. Unplanted parcels to the south are UA, as well as the Morganare Ridge subdivision, which is SR2. To the east, there are unplatted parcels that are SR2. And to the west is the Sweet Creek Simple subdivision, SR1. And again, the Morgan Ridge subdivision, SR2. The water source will be the Lakeview Water District, and it will have a private septic system. The application is a CUP under the commercial recreation, which is defined in the zoning resolution as activities such as a bowling alley, kart track, jump center, golf course, miniature golf, pool hall, racing, amusement, dance hall, skating, fully enclosed indoor firearm range, gyms, swimming pools, games, arcades, and similar uses. So this would be similar to a dance hall categorization. The planning considerations, again, are in Chapter 6, Section 2D, and whether the conditional use permit will contribute to overburdening of county services. The occupancy of the barn will abide by the requirements of the Natrona County Fire Department. The barn will be designed and built to fire code requirements for a commercial structure. Applicant has already been in contact with the Natrona County Fire regarding the structure and the proposed commercial use. The event space will be limited to 1 event per day. The applicant plans on only offering the event space on Fridays and Saturdays. Operation of events will not extend past the 11 p.m. Natrona County Fire Department had no comments for the applicant at this time and has been in contact with the building department regarding specifications for the barn to be used in this manner. Will the conditional use permit cause undue traffic, population density, or environmental problems? Zero Road is a high-use road and used during the week for surrounding businesses. Traffic into the event space will be limited to Friday and Saturdays and will be for a short duration at the beginning and end of events. Parking will be designed on the subject parcel and will provide the required standards and handicap spaces for the size and use of the barn. There are 2 entrances for the property, one on Zero Road and a second entrance on Sweet Creek. Both of these access can be utilized during an event if necessary. There are no perceived environmental problems with this use. The parking area will be a designed designated area. Stormwater runoff and erosion will not have a significant impact on the surrounding areas. Natrona County Road and Bridge has reviewed the project and has requested a traffic flow plan from the applicant that shows the flow on and off Zero Road, particularly after dark. The Road and Bridge has also suggested that the applicant may have to utilize a signboard at certain times. A traffic plan was submitted after the staff report was written and has been provided for you. And Road and Bridge's response to that traffic plan should be there as well. And Road and Bridge did not have any problems with that traffic plan, but does suggest the continued option to utilize a signboard. Will granting the conditional use permit impair the use of adjacent properties or alter the character of the neighborhood? The applicant has provided 4 letters of support from adjacent neighbors. There are a variety of uses around the property that support the mixed character of the area provided in your staff report. There's the Worldwide Research and Publication Group, which is located next door, the Christian Church of Casper, which is within a quarter mile, Johnny Appleseed Greenhouse is within a mile, Leeward Vegetable Stand is within a mile, and the Casper College Ranch and Rodeo Facility is about 1.25 miles away. Will granting the conditional use permit detrimentally affect the public health, safety, and welfare? The Natrona County Health Department had no comments. The applicant has been in contact with Natrona County Fire regarding the occupancy and the fire suppression requirements, and the barn will meet all the applicable building and fire and health codes. As of the date of the staff report, there have been no written comments received. Staff sent out 37 notices to neighbors. Again, recommendations is the Planning and Zoning Commission may approve the requested conditional use permit after consideration of public testimony and the facts of the case as presented through the public hearing. If all the minimum regulation standards of the 2000 zoning code are satisfied, and after consideration of any relevant factors, upon finding the request that is keeping with the 4 required listings in Chapter 6, Section 2D of the 2000 zoning resolution of Natrona County. Should the Planning and Zoning Commission vote to approve the requested conditional use permit, staff recommended the inclusion of 3 conditions. The first was to submit the traffic flow plan, especially for events after dark, and they have submitted that. The other 2 requirements, conditions I would keep are all parking must be on the subject parcel, parking on Zero Road or Sweet Creek Road will not be permitted, and the applicant must follow all the building and fire and health codes.
Is that all? Thank you. Any questions for staff on the application?
Is that Vista West Water that supplies that?
It'll be Lakeview Water District.
Are they requiring a separate tap for that, or are they gonna let you come off your household tap? That's a question I have. If they approve this, I guess.
I do not have the answer for that, but we can ask the applicant.
And then there's an approach going out to Sweet Creek Road. Is that already there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it crosses a canal, I believe, too? Irrigation canal, is that correct?
I believe you can ask the applicant on that one.
I'll find out.
Mr. Mitchell?
Mr. Chairman, I just had one question on the parking. So is parking currently allowed on those streets?
No,
So you can't park there, so?
no, sir.
Okay.
Jason?
Mr. Chairman, Christie, am I correct to understand this conditional use permit, if approved, would run with the land?
Yes, sir.
So any conditions that we find important, like, did you say it was just going to be used for Fridays and Saturdays and certain hours?
Yes, sir.
Would staff be opposed to putting those in as additional conditions?
No, that would seem reasonable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my questions.
Okay. Thank you, Christie. At this time, would the applicant like to come forward and fill us in on what we need to know, please?
I'm J.W. Jones, and this is my wife, Barb, Mr. Chair, Board. Our address is 7992 Zero Road. Sorry about blurting out about the tap. The question that he asked was, I am going to have to get another tap. I'm going to actually have to get two, one for the fire and another one for the building itself. So I actually got to go underneath the road twice. So as far as the gas is concerned, when I built my house, I actually spent the extra money and ran a bigger line underneath the road already, so I don't have to do anything extra as far as that's concerned. And there's definitely enough supply as far as that's concerned to get to that side. The septic and stuff, we've been dealing with Ralph at the health department, super guy to deal with. Doesn't seem to be any concerns there. Our neighbors have been really supportive about this whole project that we're planning on doing.
I think you have an email in front of you that I submitted today from Ralph with the Casper, Natrona County Health Department that specifies that we've done the perk test and that he's worked with us on the requirements for the septic. And with regard to your question on the Sweet Creek, that road is already there. Our idea on that is that they would only be able to use the Zero Road entrance, that Sweet Creek would be an emergency entrance if, like, it would be blocked off because I don't want the traffic going down Sweet Creek. That would be an emergency entrance only.
Was there another question for the applicants, for the applicant?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, applicants, did I understand you correctly that you are going to bring in a fire suppression
Absolutely.
water line?
Absolutely.
I commend you for going through that effort. There's always a great push to try to get away from that, and I commend you for going the extra mile to get that put in. It really makes the venue a safer and better place.
It's
Thank
not
you.
the cheaper route.
No, I agree.
Very expensive.
It's gonna cost as much as the building.
Yeah, I commend you
pretty
for
close.
that effort.
And my only concern was with your comment of putting the Friday and Saturday, would that limit us? Like if somebody came and said they wanted like a short ceremony or something on a weekday, we wouldn't be able to? That would be my only concern, is if there were an outside. Our intent is to just do the weekends. I don't want to do it all the time, but, or if they had like a celebration of life, a funeral, something like that.
Mr. Chairman, that was my intent of the question, was to understand if this was a couple day a week kind of a venue, or whether this was a 7-day-a-week venue. And in my mind, that kind of changes the impact on the zoning district if we are talking about a 7-day a week type venue versus just a couple days a week. So that was the purpose of my comment and question.
Okay.
I noted in there, I guess you'd said Fridays and Saturdays.
We had, when we talked, and then we had other people approach us and ask for, if this happened, would, it be open to other things? And I guess it would be a case-by-case basis. It's not our intent to have it open every day. I don't want to work that hard.
Well, and Mr. Chairman, applicant, I believe that you could come in and modify the CUP at some future point and say, we've, everything's been going smooth, we haven't had any complaints. Can we modify it where we can have it more days a week than that?
I think for consideration tonight, what I read in the packet was Friday and Saturday only.
And that ain't the way I interpreted it. I interpreted it as though it would be mostly Saturdays and Sundays. Fridays and Saturdays, I think we're going too far by limiting that.
It's a lot of money to put out just to be limited to 2 days a week, too. I mean,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, Board,
Sure.
a church is open, like today especially, is for voting in our neighborhood anyway. Graduation parties has been a big question lately because they're so limited on the amount of spaces that people have. I mean, not everybody plans a funeral either. And if there's somebody decides that they want to have a celebration of life, I don't want to be limited or say no to somebody just because. I definitely don't want to keep it open all the time. Sunday's a definite no.
Yeah, Sunday's a no for us. That's a family day, and we want to be good neighbors. We don't want
Absolutely.
to, you don't want to be a nuisance, but that's not our goal either.
And you did have I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
You did have hours in there also that you
Right,
were
if
trying to.
the latest would be 10 o'clock, so everybody's out by 11, because that's a noise ordinance. And we've talked with our neighbors and said, especially in the summer, if they sleep with their windows open, or you don't want to hear people laughing to their vehicle, or, things like that. We want to be respectful.
So Christie and Charmaine, I think we need to address this because I know I read somewhere in here Friday and Saturday only and time, so is it a situation where if they want to have something on anything other than a Friday or Saturday, they have to come in and get a amendment to the CUP, or how does that work?
No, we need to find that in here.
I know I read it.
I do too.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
it is in question number 2, that the event space will be limited to Friday and Saturdays, and will be in regards to the traffic, and it is in question number 1, paragraph 2 as well, offering the event space on Fridays and Saturdays. If you wish to work with the applicant, I believe that is an option.
I guess just for the purposes today, we're considering this and the board's going to vote on it here, and I think we need to be on the same page about, are we going with what's in black and white, or are you here today to ask for an amendment that we could add to a motion for consideration?
So you can consider amending this however you'd like. If you want to make a motion to approve it with conditions like just clearly Saturday and Sunday, or just not have any days, you can do that. One thing to keep in mind is that with a conditional use permit, it can be reviewed and taken away if there are problems.
That's good.
I'm trying to anticipate what folks out in the audience might come forward here in public hearing in a moment and say, I'm okay with Friday and Saturday, but definitely not. So let's just see how it plays out.
Mr. Chairman, that would be my question too, is if it was presented to whoever approved it, Road and Bridge, that it was only be Saturdays and Sundays, would that change their interpretation of it as well? Maybe you can answer something to that effect, whether you think that would change, you know, I guess who they applied to and whether it would change any of the opinions on it.
Mr. Chairman, we can present that as a condition to have Road and Bridge approve the use of it on multiple days rather than just on a Friday or Saturday and review their remarks.
So, question I have, I guess similar to Mr. Mitchell's question there. If we just go with what's in black and white and then have the applicant make a requirement that they come in every time they want to do something like this, that would be difficult, I would think, because you got to get it on a docket and agenda in 2 months, 3 months. So my best guess is it's something we need to address tonight. Jason?
Mr. Chairman, Chris, do we have the latitude to approve it for Fridays and Saturdays and then defer to staff to evaluate that internally if there's additional days they're requesting? So staff would look at it on a kind of a case-by-case basis?
Mr. Chair, I think it needs to be more specific in that. That's giving too much discretion without guidance.
Making it tough. Yeah, we don't know when somebody's going to die or
Yeah.
graduation parties or whatever.
Mr. Chair, I would just as soon take up as little as time of everybody's that, you know, it's going to take. I mean, I'm in agreement, you know, a limitation to Friday and Saturday. I don't want to be riding the fence on anything, you know, putting people in a bind further down the road, because I've worked hard to keep my name good in this town. I tend to do so. I mean, and I hate to put a timeline on anybody.
So I'm hearing you say you're good with Friday and Saturday, and if you want to,
No, I think his words got twisted a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not okay
He-
with Friday and Saturday.
He's asking for the allowance to do other days and be, I mean, like you had said, you could take it away if we got complaints. I mean, our intent is not to be disrespectful.
No.
And we do have neighbors supporting us.
so what is your request then? 7 days a week?
My request is just, well, I don't want to do it 7 days a week, but to be able to be flexible, absolutely tying us to 2 days a week limits. If somebody were to come in and say, you know, they want a celebration of life or even a fundraiser, you know,
So we need to know what you want.
well, 7 days a week then. I mean, we're not going to use.
So can we make the motion to amend that Saturday and Sunday, or Friday, Saturday thing? To remove that, just remove that out of there altogether?
Mr. Chair, I think when you make the motion, you can just make it clear it's their application, so it would be up to them if they want to amend it. But in your motion, you could say approve the application excluding the provision limiting the days.
I guess that's my question, is where in my application is that? It's in staff comments, but my application said most events would be held Fridays and Saturdays,
That's the way I read it. too.
and we will not be open on Sundays.
I can't.
That's the way I read it too, and I
Yeah.
read it at home last night, and this is different.
I think it's just when it got transferred to staff comments that it came Friday but in my application, it says most.
We do not intend to be open daily. Most events will be held on Friday and Saturdays. We will not be open on Sundays, and we anticipate our busiest time will be May through September. So maybe we can say 6 days a week, not Sundays.
Yeah.
Most events,
Okay,
Most.
that's what we're going to go with.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for
Any
your
questions, other questions
consideration.
for the applicant? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this time we're going to call the public hearing for the application. Declare the public hearing open for consideration of conditional use permit 22-4, and that's for the application we've been talking about the last few minutes. Request by J.W. and Barbara Jones for conditional use permit to allow for barn for commercial recreation in suburban residential 1 district, 7992 Zero Road. At this time, anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application, would you please come forward?
Mel Kozlowski, 1470 North Dry Creek Road, and this is my wife Donna. We live immediately to the northwest diagonally on Dry Creek Road there. My feeling is that they have a large enough piece of property, 20 acres, that they're well separated from ours and all the other adjacent residences, that I would very much be in favor of allowing them this opportunity for business on this property.
I agree.
Thank you, Kozlowskis. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application, please come forward. Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Rob Youngsma, 1282 Sweet Creek. I am actually the second property directly east of them, right on Zero Road, and I'd just like to speak in favor of this also. I think they've been very upfront through the whole process of this, asked neighbors' opinions, explained to us what they were doing, how they're doing it. I don't think it'll affect anything. And I also am in support of the 6 days a week. I think that's a great way to go.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application?
Mike Hagler, Road and Bridge. I'd just like to clarify the traffic plan, in my opinion, is not going to be affected by the 6 days a week, because I think this is going to be sporadic. And if we have problems, we can get together and address them.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application? Anyone else? Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the application, would you please come forward? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, declare the public hearing closed. Gentlemen, any discussion? Yes, Jason.
Mr. Chairman, I believe the Joneses would do a wonderful job running it, and have got along, communicated with their neighbors, and done a wonderful job. I get a little concerned when the permit runs with the land. That means the next owners and the next owners can also run it, and they may not have the same approach that the Joneses have. So I think we need to be concise with any conditions we put on that, so that staff has the future tools if something steps out of line with what the neighbors thought was going to occur, that it can be reeled back appropriately.
Outstanding insight. Thank you.
I definitely see a need for this. This summer, my daughter got married and used our hay shed on Poison Spider Road. And if traffic's a concern, the traffic trickled in so slow and trickled out so slow that with all the water truck traffic on that road, it didn't seem to affect anything. And I do believe there's a need for this. People are trying to talk me into doing it, and I said, no way. So I think it's a good thing.
Any other discussion?
I think it's great.
Chairman would entertain a motion for consideration.
I move to accept conditional use permit 22-4. Planning Zoning Commission has considered all the relevant factors, including but not limited to those set forth in the 2000 zoning resolution. Find that the conditional use permit reaches the 4 findings we talked about, with the 3 conditions that are listed under the recommendations. And I recommend a due pass to the Board of County Commissioners.
Chad, would you want to add the 6-day
Oh, and be allowed to run 6 days a week,
And that one day being Sunday, that's not allowed.
and Sunday not being allowed.
Mr. Chairman, could we read those three conditions so that everybody knows?
Mr. Zeal, I'll leave that up to you.
Well, that's fine. Here they are. The applicant submits a traffic flow plan, especially for events after dark, that include a plan for egress onto Zero Road, which I think Mike Hagler hit on. All parking must be on the subject parcel. Parking on Zero Road or Sweet Creek Road will not be permitted. An applicant must follow all building, fire, and health codes, which I think was covered.
Okay.
And we added no events on Sunday. And then did the applicant have on their application the hours they were agreed to? I think they were going to be done by 10?
I think it was 11.
Be gone by 11?
I believe so, yeah.
Well, I would second that motion to include, as long as we include to be done by 11.
Does anyone care what time you can start? Noon?
Not really.
I don't think there's,
Well, if you start at 2 in the morning, that might be a problem.
6 a.m.
All right.
well, do you consider setting up? Because there might be a lot of flow for people coming in and out to get set up and get ready. Especially with the kitchens that we're gonna put in.
What beginning hour would you prefer?
I'd say 11 o'clock in the morning. 11 a.m. to
I'd say 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Jonas, what do you think?
That's perfectly fine.
6 a.m.?
I don't plan to be any earlier. Get out of bed at 6 a.m.
All right, so Mr. Zeal, you want to add that?
make that 6 a.m., 6 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay, any further discussion? Does that cover all the bases you were concerned about, Jason?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it does.
All right. All right, so we have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? You have the approval of the Natrona County Planning and Zoning Commission, and I believe this goes to county commissioners on December 6th. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck. All right. Our last item of business this evening is, has to do with a major subdivision, MS 22-5, a request by Deidre Homan and Jerry Cover for approval of a preliminary plat for the Mountain Horizon Number 4, a major subdivision consisting of 2 lots on a parcel approximately 39.889 acres in urban ag. So Christie, may we have a staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, case number MS 22-5, applicant Jerry C. Cover, agent is WLC. The applicant is proposing to divide Lot 1 of Mountain Horizon Number 3, measuring 39.889 acres, into 2 lots. Proposed Lot 1 of Mountain Horizon Number 4 will be 15.391 acres, and Lot 2 will be 24.498 acres. The property is on Zero Road, 1 mile west of Highway 26 and 1/2 mile east of 6 Mile Road. The zoning is urban ag. The minimum lot size is 10 acres. The property is currently vacant on the Lot 2 side. The adjacent land use, north is light industrial, south is urban ag, east is urban ag, and west is urban ag. The water source was reported originally in the staff report as a private well. But staff has recently gotten additional information that you have in your packet that that you may have and I may not. That there's an additional water district. Do you have that? That the city of Mills is available for water and this and a sewer tap at this site as well, if they choose. Otherwise, they had planned an individual septic system. The general standards for major subdivisions. A major subdivision is a division of land into 2 or more parcels of 140 acres or less and not classified as a simple subdivision. As this has been previously platted, it falls into the category of a major subdivision. The criteria for approval comes from Section 5 of the subdivision regulations. The subdivision is consistent with the Natrona County Development Plan and the Natrona County Zoning Resolution. So the proposed subdivision is in compliance with the current zoning resolution. The zoning is urban agriculture and has a 10-acre minimum. All lots on the proposed subdivision are larger than 10 acres, and that according to the Natrona County zoning resolution. The intent and purpose of the urban ag district is to provide for and protect properties of 10-acre lots or larger in the urbanized area which are used for agriculture and residential purposes. The proposed Mountain Horizons number 4 major subdivision is located in neighborhood 14, the West Belt Loop North Robertson Road of the development plan. And it's currently not consistent with the 2016 Natrona County Development Plan to focus on the industrial development and high-density residential for the area. However, a portion of the area of neighborhood 14, which was zoned light industrial, has been annexed to the town of Mills, and the remaining area of neighborhood 14 is currently zoned urban ag with a small portion zoned suburban residential and has residential uses similar in nature to the adjacent neighborhood 7, Vista West. The annexation of the area has significant impact on the 2016 development plan for the area. Therefore, the perceived inconsistency with the plan should not be a significant factor for this subdivision. The subdivision is in conformance with the general provisions of Chapter 1 and Subdivision Standards Chapter 7. So Mountain Horizons 4 is in conformance with the above criteria. The applicant has provided evidence that sufficient water supply system will be acquired in terms of quantity, quality, and dependability for the type of subdivision proposed, as determined in accordance with the standards set forth in the water supply systems. The proposed subdivision does have permission now from the City of Mills for both sewer and water, as well as we've been in contact with the irrigation water provider, Casper Alcova Irrigation District, and there is an approval letter from them that came in this evening for that subdivision. The applicant has provided evidence that a public sewage disposal system will be established, and if other methods of sewage disposal are proposed, evidence that that system complies with the state and local laws and regulation. In the event that the subdivision would have on-site septic systems, the Natrona County Health Department has been out entrenched and tested for those as well. The number 5 is the applicant has provided evidence to show all areas of the proposed subdivision which may involve soil or topographical conditions presented. Hazards or requiring special precautions have been identified by the applicant, and the proposed use of the areas are compatible with such conditions. No areas of this proposed subdivision have been identified as having areas that need to be addressed. Number 6, necessary services include fire, police protection, schools, recreation, utilities, open space, and transportation systems are available to serve the proposed subdivision. This subdivision will be within the Natrona County Sheriff's jurisdiction. The proposed subdivision has adequate utility easements. No recreation or schools are proposed with this subdivision. The subdivision, number 7, appears to be compatible with the surrounding areas, not detrimental to the future development of the area, and not detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the inhabitants of the area and the county. The proposed subdivision will not be detrimental to the surrounding area, as the uses will be agricultural and residential. The proposed subdivision is bordered by lots of the same nature and will fit in with the character of the neighborhood. 8, is documentation satisfactory to the Board of County Commissioners that the improvement and service district requirements have been met? As the subdivision is a split of an existing lot with existing access off of Zero Road to create an improvement service district is not necessary. Documentation that the subdivider has adequate financial resource to develop and complete water and/or sewage systems or any facility proposed or represented to be the responsibility of the subdivider, but not limited to the above mentioned. The owner of the lot has plans to remain in residence on Lot 1 and has already agreements in place to sell Lot 2. Any of those sewage or water would be the responsibility of the buyer. Planning considerations. Staff has received the following comments. Road and Bridge commented that access on it will be on Zero Road, and existing approach already exists, and so there's no need for any additional approaches or permits. The Natrona County Health Department in our staff report had no comment, and on the 2nd, they submitted a letter which you should have at your desks. The state engineer's office response was that there may be some irrigation associated with the subdivision that needed to be addressed per Wyoming Statute 185306A6E. And at the time of the staff report, Casper Alcova Irrigation District had not sent the letter of agreement, but now you have it in your possessions and they are in agreement. A copy of the covenants has been submitted to the planning office as well. At the date of this report, staff had not received any written comments. Staff sent notices to 66 neighbors. Staff proposes recommendations that the Planning and Zoning Commission enter a motion and vote to recommend approval or denial of the request of Mountain Horizon Number 4 major subdivision by the Board of County Commissioners. Should the Planning and Zoning Commission vote to approve the request, the major subdivision, staff recommended the inclusion of the one condition that we have that Casper Alcova District letter, which we have. So staff has no conditions at the moment.
Any questions for staff?
Mr. Chairman, with this recent development with Mills, would we modify the note on the plat then to say that there's at least domestic water available?
We can,
I'll be anxious to hear from the applicant and the engineer on getting sewage addressed, public sewage. That seems like that's topographically a challenge, so we'll hear from them, but definitely having availability of potable water is important.
the plat can be amended to reflect those options.
Covenants, as you, I realize we don't enforce covenants, but is this plat violating any of those covenants?
No, sir.
I apologize, I was looking at another item when you were going, what did you indicate the Conservation District? Soil Conservation had reviewed this,
No, I did not hear back from them.
but they were provided with it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's my questions for staff, Mr. Chairman.
I
Thank
guess
you,
I would
staff.
have a follow-up question to what Commissioner Gutierrez has, and that is with the sewer. Would it be appropriate to require domestic sewer service instead of allowing the option of having septic tank system?
As the letter from Mills arrived today, right before the meeting, I have not had time to address any of those particular items. But we can definitely put that as a condition for approval.
And I know that's in the regional wastewater system, if you're within 300 feet, I think you have to connect. And based on what I read from Mills, there must be a sewer system out there close by. No?
There's an error in the email, it's septic, it's not sewer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Guess we can
you
talk
know,
about, we'll talk about that later. Any other questions for staff? Christie, I had a couple. So as I understand it, and I think you addressed it, this is considered a major plat because it's a re-subdivision and replat?
Correct.
Okay. I saw something emailed this morning about a preliminary plat. Was that, Jason, you had
Yes, Mr. Chairman,
Brought that up.
that was a concern I had. I've been since informed that according to our subdivision regulations, planning and zoning receives a preliminary plat, and then it becomes a final plat to the Board of County Commissioners. I apologize if I'm stepping on anyone's toes, but I don't believe we will see, if we recommend approval, we will not see this plat again.
No, sir.
And it was confusing a little bit to me because the previous planner had a new set of rules, and now we got maybe another set of rules here within the last 3 months. So trying to keep up with the changes. As a major plat, will the subdivision be required to submit a DEQ Chapter 23 report?
No, sir. It is 2 lots, which falls under the criteria for the DEQ 23. And the health department has already been out and done their evaluation.
So I guess my question was, as a major subdivision, I'm not familiar with the rules there, but as a major subdivision, is a Chapter 23 required?
So a major subdivision, a Chapter 23 is required if you have 6
Okay,
lots.
okay.
And to answer the preliminary plat in our 2013 subdivision regulations, page 16, section 6 goes over the process of a preliminary plat application. And it goes through those requirements as the review. It is goes through the public notice. It goes through the public hearing for the scheduled Planning and Zoning Commission. It goes through D is the review shall outline whether the proposed subdivision generally complies with the policies and requirements of the adopted Natrona County Development Plan. The Development Department may recommend a motion of approval of the plat. The Planning and Zoning Commission will conduct a public hearing, shall hear and consider evidence of the application, and that is all under the process of the preliminary plat. The process of the final plat application discusses the presentation to the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay. Thank you, Christie.
You're welcome.
At this time, would the applicant like to come forward and share with us any details that we need to know?
Good evening, I'm Deidre Holman, Jerry's cover daughter. First, I'll clear up the sewer. In about 2008, the existing subdivision paid Mills to bring water to us. It's water only. The gal that wrote that out just made a mistake and put a water and sewer tap.
Okay.
But it's septic and it's public water through Mills. So there is no public sewage out there at all.
How close is it, do you know?
Ugh, long ways away. We're all on septic.
You
And
have to clear over to Vista West over in there somewhere.
yeah, it's a long ways away. We're all on septic. And
Okay.
we've already done the perk test, wrench test, everything that's needed for that. So essentially, I think other than clearing that up, we'll have the access off of Zero Road. We did have an easement across a neighboring back property that we did in 2012, I believe, when that lot was sold. Its original intent was an access for this if we ever had to sell the back of this hayfield. At this point, the access going to Zero Road is cleaner and it's clearer, and so we would abandon that easement.
Is there a pivot sprinkler on this
Yes.
currently?
Yes, there's
Is
a
it going to
pivot.
cover both pieces of property?
Essentially, it's designed to, 4 ruts will be used for that one. That'll cover their whole property, and that kind of gives that design that you're seeing in a little bit of a curve.
So there's a 20-foot private irrigation water line easement?
Yes.
Is that the line going to the sprinkler?
Yes, that's the line going to the pivot.
So the measuring device for the water, irrigation water, is probably at the sprinkler?
It's at the, actually, it's at the pond.
I guess how would they figure that if it's irrigating two different properties?
Basically, you
Does that
get,
make sense?
you're allotted 2 acre-feet per acre.
Right.
That particular hayfield hasn't really only probably 1 year even come close. However, it's metered, so we know exactly what goes through there.
So the sprinkler would mostly irrigate one piece?
It's gonna, right, and then basically the end gun's gonna hit the rest.
Okay.
Probably the only other thing I'll add is the purchaser, it worked out very well. My hopes in this was to keep the focus on the hayfield, and that's their focus also. You know, with what they do for a living, the hayfield is important, and so it kind of worked out really well. They intend to build in the back and leave as much hayfield as possible. And probably 2-3 years before they even begin to build anything, so for a while it won't even look any different, really.
Ms. Holman, I had a question for you, and I'm
You
trying to
bet.
figure it out because we got the plat a little bit late. But access to the back property,
The old easement I'm talking about, or?
100-foot wide private access easement running, that looks to run parallel with Zero Road, but I don't see it. Where does it say access to the south?
Mr. Chairman.
I'll let him take over.
Doug Boyd with WLC, 200 Pronghorn. It runs along the east line of Lot 1. It's noted in a side note. If you allow me to approach, I can point it out to you.
Sure. Oops. It's over there somewhere.
It's running along this line. And there's the note.
Oh, I see it, okay. Okay, great, thank you. Hey, did I see that was a, private access easement? Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
This time we'll open the public hearing for consideration of major subdivision 22-5, and that would be the Mountain Horizon Number 4 subdivision. All those in favor of the application and wishing to address the commissioners, please come forward. All those in favor?
I don't know if I would, I don't know if I'd be in favor or not in favor, depending on my question, but I'm at 633 6 Mile Road.
Your name?
Devery and Robert Davis.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first name.
Devery. I own the property to the south that has the easement on it. And Deidre mentioned that that would be abandoned. I would just like to know if that would be clarified in the decision that would be made. And then how I would be notified that that easement is no longer there.
So which easement is it possible to get the plat on the? Can you zoom?
Is that access from 6 Mile Road?
No, it does not. And the landowner that we had to get, when we bought the property, we didn't have access either. So we had to go to the landowner and get access to our property. But there is no access between 6 Mile and our entry. But there is an easement from the edge of our property to the Deidre's property. So there's a short, the easement's only on our land.
Would it be possible for you to go up a point where you're talking about?
Yes.
I'm lost.
So this is the edge of, this is the entry into our land. And so the easement is only here. This will be 6 Mile over here, so there's no access here. The easement's only here on our land.
So how do you access your,
We have access through the landowner from 6 Mile.
who's that?
It's currently owned by Garrett Mortimer.
Okay, I know what you're talking
And it was owned previously by, was it Seitner? I can't remember his name.
about. Is there another family that accesses that road too?
Yes.
Their home?
Yes.
Farrell's?
Yes, Pearl. Mhm.
So as I understand it, Ms. Davis, your concern is that we need to make sure there's no access to this Lot 2 from the west?
Via 6 Mile Road.
And 6 Mile is over here?
Is that what? Yeah.
Well, it's, the easement's ingress and egress.
If you follow this all down 6 Mile.
Okay, so your concern is that no one be allowed to access
The new
Lot
landowners
2?
cannot access that,
Okay.
correct.
I don't see anything on the plat that says that, what is this, note 6?
And I have no objections to the land. I mean, what they do with their land, I totally support that. I just,
10-foot gas line easement, it says. Okay? I don't see anything on the plat that would indicate that you have access by virtue of the plat from the west.
so I don't know what the legal stand, I don't know where that lies. I don't know.
Nothing shows up here on the plat that I can see.
Mr. Chairman, looks like staff and legal would love to chime in.
Please do.
I just would like confirmation.
Mr. Chairman, can we invite WLC up to
Absolutely.
answer the question?
Mr. Chairman, staff, council members, the original plat that was submitted, we left item number 8, that easement, off because it does not reach 6 Mile Road. Staff informed us that there was some concern where that particular easement was located, so I submitted an updated version, which, as you can see on the map, shows where that easement's located. It does not make it to 6 Mile. And I believe that Deirdre has offered to vacate that easement, and we would leave it off the plat as any type of access at the time of recording. It is for Mr. Cole and his assignees, but it doesn't go anywhere.
So timeout. Are we looking at current there, or is
Most
what we?
current is right up on the screen.
Yeah, so it
Due to the
has-
fact that the came up on Thursday? Friday? And in any case, I plotted that easement out there so people could see where it was.
So the packet has an old easement. Ah, okay.
And the packet would probably be what you would wind up seeing it recorded, as Deirdre's offered to vacate her any interest they have in that easement to clean things up.
Okay. Thank you. So Does that answer your question?
Well, how is that done?
Mr. Chairman, legal counsel, could we add that as a condition to that, or does that come outside our realm?
I guess maybe add to research it, and we'll figure out what the options are.
I guess it would seem if people use that, I'm guessing it's a roadway, if people use that and aren't authorized, that's trespass, right?
Currently, yes. But if the landowner ever sold, then that would be a different story.
Okay.
So do you have an actual easement through Mortimer? Is that on the?
Yes. Yes, it's documented.
So once you get to that, I guess it's your house and Perril's house? It would veer off back to the north, and then you're back towards their place, is that right? When you come off 6 Mile down towards your house,
Yeah, you
you'd
just,
have Perril's on the right and you guys on the left?
correct.
But if you follow that through, it goes on up through their property, is that correct? Veering to the left,
If
or
you,
to the south, to the north, I mean, I'm sorry.
yes, if you, well, no, if you just kept going to the east. So when you got to the edge of our property, if you keep going east, it just runs to the corner of the property.
And stops,
And-
okay.
So, Charmaine, I'm sorry, I guess I wasn't putting two and two together. What is your recommendation on this with the easement situation?
So maybe just to ask staff to research it and figure out what's going on. The easement would be for the benefit of a different property, and so I'm not exactly following what the easement is doing.
I guess we've had issues with property owners in the past, and not an issue, but we've had property owners go out there and put a fence or a chain or something across the roadway, and that's a pretty good deterrent, keeping people from going through there.
Well, I would just like peace of mind because I've been told that the new owners would have access.
Okay?
So I would like that in writing that that's not the case.
We'll keep that in mind when it comes time to acting on that here this evening.
Okay, and then I had a second one. I know that you got an irrigation, you got something from irrigation later today. Just wanted to clarify what that looked like, as we are still having problems with irrigation ourselves, just trying to get water.
Can we give this to her?
Okay.
Anything else, Ms. Davis?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Till I read this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else where were we? We're
For
wishing to speak in
In
favor
favor.
of? Hello?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Holly Wilhelm, 1454 South Melrose Street in Casper. I had started on this project. The easement is dedicated specifically to their access. I just wanted to provide that information because I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
But I'm neither for or against it.
Thank you. Holly.
Thanks.
Anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application? Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to the application, would you please come forward? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition, please come forward. Seeing none, declare the public hearing closed. Gentlemen, any discussion? All right, Chair would entertain a motion for consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I would move approval of the Mountain Horizons Number 4 subdivision with, I apologize here, We have already, we've reached the condition of the Casper Cova, so that's not necessary. I guess just to memorialize some of the conversation we talked about, we would modify the plat to show there is a domestic water source available. So condition 1 with the mill's water source. If I could, I'm going to try to take a shot at this easement. It would be pursuant to the applicant indicating to us that their intention is to abandon the easement down below, and staff would further investigate the possibility of whether that can be required or not, and that is at least the intent of the applicant through this process. Clear as mud.
Looking at the sample motion here, was it one condition? What is that one condition?
The one condition was going to be the Casper Cova, but
Okay.
prior to the meeting, we received that, so they're
Okay.
content with the subdivision.
All right, so there is one condition, but it has to do with the easement and not Casper Cova.
The easement and modifying the plat to show that there is domestic water available through the city of Mills.
Okay.
Town of Mills.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gutierrez, seconded by Commissioner Grant. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The application is approved by the Natrona County Planning and Zoning Commission. And is that also set for December 6th consideration by the Board of County Commissioners? Okay, good luck, thank you. All right, now's the time where we move into public comment. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the commissioners here this evening? Seeing none, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn this meeting.
But before we do that, it just occurred to me, sorry about that, I jumped the gun. Is there anything more we need to be aware of as far as the zoning rewrite, Christie?
The zoning rewrite is set to go before the BOCC on December 6th. There is also a scheduled work session scheduled for November 29th for the BOCC. On November 10th, we will be posting the Planning and Zoning Commission draft to the website, as well as a draft that includes the Board of County Commissioners' comments as well. And so there's also an opportunity for additional public comment all the way through December 6th.
Thank you. All right, is there anything else I missed? Did we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn this meeting on November 8th, 2022 of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Meeting concludes at 6:54 PM.